Hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Potato Society. On this episode, we're going to take you through the latest movies that have come out in the last couple of weeks since we've talked. We're going to read through the list of them and then we'll discuss a few that we liked. And I think we're going to play a little game with some of these new movies that have come out.
All right, so explain it to me. How does the game work?
So, remember that game when you were a kid, red light, green light?
Yes.
Well,
always lost.
No running involved in this one.
All right,
There's-
I'm already 103% more interested.
There's not really. I want to be able to go through some of these and recommend movies that we're not going to talk about. So, green light, good to go. People, get out there, watch it.
Okay.
You'll tell me if it's a green light or not. Yellow, you might want to hold on for a second. There's other movies you need to watch. Red light, skipper.
Okay.
Just don't worry about it. So we're going to blow through them
Let's do it
and we'll
quick.
come back. So, animated movies that have recently come out. Iron Giant,
Green light.
green light. Despicable Me,
Red
3.
light.
I'm going to say yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah, I would not be any rush. If you've seen the other two,
Yeah, just watch the other two instead.
yeah, comedies, game over, man.
Watched. Okay. I honestly can't say. I watched the first 30 seconds of this movie.
30 seconds.
I watched the first 30 seconds.
I
of this
made it a
movie.
little longer. I watched a couple minutes and my kids interrupted.
Yeah. The very first thing is three guys in a comedy walking in slow motion. That was
That's
for
it.
me.
That's all you
That
got.
was it. Yep. Okay.
It's a yellow for me. 50
Okay.
First Dates,
Oh, yellow.
green light. If you haven't seen 50 First Dates, that's a green light.
Okay.
Happy Anniversary,
Green light.
green light.
Green light. All right.
Along Came Polly,
Never seen it.
yellow.
Okay.
Beethoven's Christmas Adventure.
I'm gonna say preemptive red.
Yeah, red,
Preemptive red.
big time. No idea.
No idea.
Cats and Dogs,
Red.
red. Jackass 2.5,
Red.
red. Looney Tunes Back in Action,
I'm gonna say, this is like that moment, green, but like right before it turns yellow.
yellow.
Yeah. Okay.
The Family Man,
Yellow.
yellow. The Flintstones,
Yellow, but nostalgia gives it a greenish hue.
I'm on board. The
Okay.
Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas.
I've never seen it.
It gets stuck in the yellow category right behind the Flintstones.
Okay, there
for
we
me.
go.
The Spy Next Door.
Jackie Chan can't get anything less than a yellow. I just thought that seems incredibly racist.
I like Jackie Chan. I loved him as a kid.
I like Jackie Chan a lot. This is not a good Jackie Chan movie. This is one of the American ones where it's like they don't understand all the great things that are about Jackie Chan, which is they usually want to pair him with special effects, not realizing that
The
Jackie
jacket.
Chan, or the tuxedo.
Oh, that's what I meant.
The tuxedo, not realizing that Jackie Chan is his own special effect. He doesn't need anything else. No.
Roxanne.
Yellow. I haven't seen it since childhood.
This might be something different than what you're thinking about then.
Oh, it's different. It's different Roxanne.
You're thinking of Roxanne,
I'm thinking of the Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Okay.
This is not
Okay.
that Roxanne.
There, okay.
This
And
is-
this one is like probably like Casper Knows Love, where it's like like a European erotica.
This is about a rapper in the 80s that grew to prominence. It's a story of her growing up.
Oh, this is exactly the same as a Steve Martin. Okay.
That's unknown for me. I don't know.
Okay.
Little Women, the 1994 version,
Surprising. This is a green.
green.
Great green for me.
All engines go.
All right.
Never back down to the beat down.
Red.
Pass. Red.
First match.
Yeah, red.
Red.
Let Me In,
I'll give it a green.
green.
Yeah.
Cold Mountain.
That mountain's cold, buddy.
You don't like it, huh?
No,
Nicole
this movie is fine. It is like of that era of like Weinstein-y period dramas, desperately wanting to win Oscars. This is the apex.
The
of that,
epitome
I would
of
say.
it?
Yeah, but it's not a bad movie.
Truth be told, I've not watched it, so I can't give a.
Can't give a recommendation.
yeah,
on it either.
not really.
Continue.
So Friday Night Lights.
Don't hate me. I've never seen it.
Man, I have not seen it either. So many people.
I know so many people.
The
who
movie,
have
the
said it.
TV show, they love the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Green Light based on Society.
Yeah. Peer pressure. Absolutely.
Life is Beautiful. Green.
Green.
The Duchess.
Not seen it.
Keira Knightley.
in period costume.
Yeah, exactly. It's a green.
Okay.
Body of Lies.
Yellow.
Yellow. Deep
Okay.
Blue Sea.
It's either a red or a green, but for the exact same reasons. Because it's pretty
then,
bad.
Then it's got to be green if it's
Yeah,
red or
okay,
green.
yeah.
Because I'm not going to give Deep Blue Sea a red.
Okay.
The second one, yeah, it's not on Netflix though, but
Okay.
I liked it as a wee lad.
Yeah. Okay.
Nancy Drew, 2007.
Okay. I have not seen this. Spoiler alert. I am somewhat of a Nancy Drew aficionado by osmosis because I have sisters.
We could Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys, man, all day long for me.
Did you ever
Read
see
crossovers? The TV show.
the TV show
Yes,
where they met each other?
yes, I
it was
sure
like
did.
the original Avengers. It's like, no, they teamed up. But who did she like more, Frank or Joe?
Oh,
Chet. And Ned. Actually, so here's an interesting tidbit. There is actually, this will tell you how freaking old Nancy Drew is. There is a film series made by Warner Brothers of Nancy Drew movies that were made in the 1930s.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know
it's
this.
Like a series of like 5 movies starring Benita Granville. And they're actually, this was in the era when, before crime procedural TV shows, so they would actually make these kind of like hour and 5-minute light crime mystery movies. And so like the really famous ones would be like the Charlie Chan movies.
Mm-hmm.
And on the higher end, you would have like some of the, like the Thin Man movies. But anyway, this is one of those series. They did it for Perry Mason as well, and they did Nancy Drew. And the 30s Nancy Drew movies are actually pretty entertaining, nice little movies. It's sort of like those Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland movies, but if there was like a murder mystery involved.
I watched a lot of Judy Garland growing up.
I'm sorry.
Not by choice,
Yeah,
but
me either.
I
haven't seen it, but I had to be honest. When I saw it was on here, I was like, I wonder if I should watch this.
yeah, back to Nancy Drew 2007. I'm kind of interested.
This has got one of the
Kinda
girls
interested.
from Glee, right? As Nancy Drew, I think.
I couldn't tell you. I know nothing about Glee.
Oh, don't tell me that. I know you were binging it before you came over here. It's always on your DVR. All right, you're a total Glee.
Supposed to be on social media.
Okay, all right.
Scarface.
Okay.
It's one of the most beloved movies by people who want to act hard and they don't know what they're talking about because it's just a yellow. It's not a green. It's a yellow.
Okay, so I haven't seen all of this movie. I have only seen 2/3 of this movie. And it wasn't that I didn't like it, it was just I had somewhere to be and then we finished watching it. And I kind of enjoyed it, although I enjoyed Carlito's Way a lot more, which also is Al Pacino, Brian De Palma movie. I will say this, I like Brian De Palma quite a bit. I feel like he's very stylistically rewarding director, so I would still give it a green. There were cool things in here that I would say watch, but it did not grab me in the way that a number of other movies. I have to be honest, if you were to say Scarface or Untouchables, I would pick Untouchables all day long.
Untouchables. So that's a green from you, yellow.
Yeah, it's a green. I'll give it a green.
7.
Big green.
Big green for me as
Big
well.
green. It's probably the best of the 90s serial killer films. And I'm including Silence of the Lambs in that list.
I do like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that though.
You have to think about it.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that versus Silence of the Lambs.
It's funny, like, and as much as I like it of that serial killer genre, but if you were to ask me, place 7 in the David Fincher filmography, it's actually probably closer to the bottom than it is to the top.
David Fincher's just done a lot of great
It
stuff.
is an own, and that's the thing. You would kill to have a movie like 7 on your filmography.
Kevin Spacey's totally different in that 7 movie too than some of the other movies that he's done.
I'll tell you what, though, if you need another reason to hate Kevin Spacey in addition to the years of sexual abuse, watch 7. You'll hate him again for perfectly valid reasons, even more valid, I would say. Okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Oh yeah, red.
That's red for me too.
Red.
It's the Curse of the Black Pearl or nothing for me.
I even rewatched that one recently, and yeah, it's I enjoy Curse of the Black Pearl. Rewatching it 15 years after the fact. It's 15 years old this year.
And it had Keira Knightley in a period piece, and he said,
piece, yeah.
green light.
It could easily shave 40 minutes out of that movie, but it's a highly entertaining movie.
I liked it when it came out. Sin City. The original,
The original.
not a Dame. Is that the
Yeah,
new one's a
Dame
Dame?
to Kill For.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to say
Stylistically, it's interesting enough to watch it. The story is not strong enough to.
this is a mixed bag. It's more green than yellow, though. I'd say watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I'd give it a yellow or green.
Yeah.
It's not a red. Speed Racer.
Red.
That's a hard red. I was so excited when it came out.
Sure. You watched the cartoon on it, I take it?
Not a lot, but I did watch it at my aunt's and uncle's house a few times, and I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, Racer X.
I was expecting better things.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible movie.
Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. It's the worst of the Terminator franchise.
Including Genesis? I felt like Genesis was
I did not think about Genesis.
I mean, that one is like...
It might be a tie, because Genesis is not good either.
It's not good. At least Terminator Rise of the Machine... Genesis gets so many things wrong.
So, Rise of the Machines, that's not Salvation.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
Salvation is actually...
Sure you remember
Salvation is actually, of the Terminator sequels, is actually decent, I would say.
Salvation's actually my second favorite Terminator movie.
Okay, is Terminator 2 your favorite?
Terminator 2 is my favorite.
Okay. Terminator 2 is also many people's favorite. I'm going to take an unpopular position.
Take the first one?
Yeah, first one. And I kind of feel like Terminator 2 is very entertaining.
Terminator 2 is the action movie?
Yeah.
Terminator 1 is like more the horror suspense.
Yeah, Terminator 1 is interesting. So they go into a club in Terminator 1 called Tech Noir. And that to me, like, perfectly encapsulates what that movie is, because it's tech noir. It is a film noir, but it just has like an indestructible cyborg, because the whole idea of film noir is that basically you're destined by fate, and it's inescapable, and it's coming for you. And the Terminator kind of is this fate, and really, Sarah Connors, she's found with this thing, this fate that is unshakable. That she can't seem to outrun him, but eventually by the end of it, she actually becomes to embrace it. I like that, even though it is the overall production itself. There are rough edges around it, and it has that sort of the typical James Cameron flaws, which are some of the dialogue and performances are creaky. I like the stripped down quality of the first one compared to the other ones. I will absolutely grant you that Terminator 2 has some of the finest action sequences I think there's ever been in a movie. They really are fantastic.
Bad guy was ahead of his time.
Very much ahead of his time. And the special effects, for being nearly 30 years old, are still remarkably good. The practical effects are fantastic. The issue that I have is that they get away from that. In that idea of an inescapable future. Terminator 2 is about, well, what if things get unhappy? What if we can actually change our future? What if we actually have a nice robot? Not interested in a happy future.
The Titan, did you watch any of it?
I have not.
That I did. It's a big red. Netflix, you suck. Don't make any more movies like this ever again.
Ever. All right, let us enter into discussion round right now.
All right. First up,
Iron Giant.
One of my favorite animated movies.
That is high praise indeed. This is a movie that flopped, like hard flopped in its initial release, which I think was like 1998, somewhere in there. It's hard for people to fathom this because now there is a new major animated movie that comes out just about every month in theaters. But there was a time when Disney was the only game in town, and it wasn't that people weren't trying to get in on that. They would make these movies and they would do no business. Iron Giant being one. This was a Warner Brothers made movie, and there would be other ones like Anastasia and Thumbelina. And these were also movies that didn't do.
I also really like Anastasia.
Now, so this is exactly why I mentioned Anastasia. Anastasia and Iron Giant, even though they flopped at the box office, huge life on home video. I would be shocked if there were, or excuse me, I wouldn't be shocked. I am shocked at how many people our age have seen both of those movies, even though they basically died a terrible death at the box office. As a matter of fact, Anastasia has actually been recently has been adapted into a Broadway stage show, and is a best-selling, not a best-selling. I don't even know what I'm saying. It's doing very well on Broadway.
Interesting fact about both the Iron Giant and Anastasia is I liked them both.
Oh wow!
Obviously, when they came out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but when
we're really firing here.
So I was raised super conservative, and my parents did not like Anastasia. I believe we were given a copy.
Oh, is it because of Rasputin?
Yes.
Yes.
We were given a copy. I liked it a lot, and then that movie was thrown away.
Yeah.
Then my grandfather.
As the dark of the night will find you. I've seen Anastasia so many times. I can tell you the name of Rasputin's psychic, Bartok.
Oh yeah, he's got his own side movie.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Bartok has a side movie. Yeah.
The Iron Giant I bought with some money that my grandfather had sent me in a birthday card.
Yeah.
And
this is a movie that my parents actually weren't that crazy about because there's actually a reasonable amount of profanity.
And so my
In the
parents made me end up getting rid of it after about 3 or 4 watches.
And
so that also got
made you like it that much more, huh?
No, it just went in the trash, and
Yeah.
I was very upset about it. But that being said, it is now on Netflix, and I don't have to worry about it being in the trash can anymore because I can watch it forever. I also own several copies.
I wondered if the reason that this has been put onto Netflix is to coincide with the release of Ready Player One.
I've thought about that myself. If you don't know, Ready Player One features a player in the game that is the Iron Giant.
And there is a substantial amount of real estate that the titular Iron Giant occupies within the movie itself. You haven't seen Ready Player One yet?
I have not.
Okay. I enjoyed 75% of Ready Player One, but not because of any of the pop culture. Most of it happened so fast that it's non-consequential. It could have been anything that they had used in these places. So a lot of people were excited about the pop culture, but the story is actually reasonably involving, and the characters are as well. Although there is an awesome, The Shining is incorporated to great effect at one point.
Really?
In the movie, yeah, like an extended sequence.
Does it involve the twins or does it involve the car? Those are the two things everyone thinks about.
Within the
Not the car, the little.
Yeah. And basically, there is like an extended 10-minute sequence set within The Shining.
Oh dang!
Using footage from The Shining.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. It's
not the naked woman in the bathtub though.
But they work their way around it.
Oh, okay. So the Iron Giant, have you seen the special edition?
I have not. Truthfully, okay. I have not seen the Iron Giant since the early 2000s.
Okay.
I'm actually sort of looking forward to watching it with my daughter. She loves E.T., and this is somewhat similar to E.T.
My son is crazy about robots, and he absolutely loves the idea of this big Iron Giant robot.
The Iron Giant is an incredible design. We were talking about Lost in Space in our previous episode, and Lost in Space has one of the great TV robots. And the Iron Giant is a fantastic robot design, although I think it actually comes from the book. I don't think this is an original design.
Do you want to give a rundown of what the movie's about real quick in case anybody's never watched it?
All right, do it.
About
basically it's E.T. but with a giant robot.
Yeah.
There you go.
Little kid named Hogarth
Mm-hmm.
finds this big old Iron Giant. It's come to town and he befriends him. And
this is a movie directed by Brad Bird, and this also kind of sets that milieu that he's very familiar with, which is late 50s, early 60s.
Brad Bird, phenomenal director.
Yeah, and this kind of incorporates a lot of that sort of Cold War paranoia. I do remember thinking when I was younger that was a little heavy-handed at times. But otherwise, this is a pretty delightful cartoon with a lot to admire and a lot to enjoy.
I think we've talked about enough about the Iron Giant. We can go on. Let's go on to One of my favorite things that I watched over the break,
Okay.
or not break, but while we were reviewing these movies, is this comedy called Happy Anniversary.
I watched Happy Anniversary just last night, actually.
So tell me, what do you think?
All right, so let's give a quick rundown of what Happy Anniversary is. Happy Anniversary is a Netflix original film written and directed by Jared Stern. And it is about a couple who find themselves on their 3-year anniversary. They're not married, but they are cohabitating. It's their 3rd anniversary.
They're living in sin.
Mm-hmm. And on this day, based on something that the girlfriend says, it puts their relationship in doubt, and it basically follows them over the course of this single day as they sort of are having a lot of arguments with each other, also describing it to their friends, meeting with each other, then being mad, reconciling, then getting mad, then getting back. It's that sort of, it's very much, if you've ever had one of those arguments, it's very much like one of those arguments.
I felt
it's like an
like-
extended argument with you.
I haven't been in one of those in forever, but I felt like definitely before I got married, some of the arguments we would have, I felt like I could relate to some of that stuff.
I was thinking, like, this is like an argument that a couple's having, like, at the 3-year point of their relationship, and I was thinking to myself, like, this is such a small potatoes argument that it's like, oh, you can get past that.
I don't usually like flashbacks. Matter of fact, I usually.
The flashbacks in this one are incorporated to great effect, I would say.
But I love the way that they handled them in this movie, and I think it enriched the movie the way that they handled a lot of those flashbacks. And then I thought the actors in the movie were fantastic as well.
All right, so the lead of this movie is Ben Schwartz, who otherwise known as John Ralphio. And let me tell you what, his acting in this movie was amazing.
Let me get it up here.
Yeah, this is he is actually really, really good in this movie. He's been a talented performer, but this is one of the first times we get to see him. This is still primarily a comedy, but there's a lot of dramatic stuff that happens in it as well. He's just as good in the dramatic stuff as he is in that. I was less impressed with his female co-lead.
I thought she was
Noah
pretty good.
Wells. She's pretty good. She's pretty good.
They didn't focus as much on her as well.
Yeah,
It was more John Ralphio's than Schwartz.
It is told from a slightly more male perspective than female, although it splits the time pretty equally between the two characters. I really enjoyed the supporting cast that they have in here. Joe Pantoliano is in it as the girlfriend's father. He's really good as a cancer patient, as well as Annie Potts from of Ghostbusters fame is in this movie as well. What I like most about this movie is the dialogue is razor sharp. It's razor sharp dialogue, and there's a lot of like, it's not like, oh, nice talk. It's not punchlines like that. Like, it's like really, really well written, well crafted lines that they have.
A lot of it kind of off the hand.
Yeah.
Really harsh words, I guess, that people would say in a lot of relationships too. Sometimes get thrown out there.
There are some incredibly funny lines in here I would not dare to utter on the show.
Yeah.
But I can think of two that I'll say off mic that really had me laughing.
We'll talk about those later because I thought it was hilarious. My wife watched it with me, and I think she actually may have even enjoyed it a little bit. It's not your typical romantic comedy at all.
No, not at all. I think there's probably too much fighting for my wife to really enjoy it. Bring back unpleasant memories for her.
Yeah, it's a big thumbs up for me.
So we've talked too much about this. I will say this. So I do have a little bit of criticism with this movie.
Go ahead.
Every movie can use a little. So this is primarily a two-hander, meaning that it's primarily about two characters who are talking a lot. They are speaking with really great dialogue. And so this movie kind of reminds me a little bit of a play more than a movie sometimes. It sort of has the All About Eve syndrome, which is All About Eve, this movie we both watched recently. Yeah. which has amazing dialogue, really interesting characters, well developed. But the things that sometimes what I find really involving about movies, as opposed to stage, aren't that. There is a cinematic quality that you don't always get with pieces like that. And the dialogue is definitely the star here. But you know, you can do great dialogue in a book, you can do great dialogue in a play. The things that I seem to really like about movies is like, well, how do you handle the moments when people aren't talking? And that to me is kind of the level of filmmaking that I find myself really drawn towards. I'm not going to be too harsh because this is still really good, especially for a Netflix original. And this movie is like under an hour and a half long.
It's really.
It's like 80 minutes, and they know how to get in. It's an hour and 18 minutes long.
It did not linger anywhere.
No, and I appreciated that so much. Like the criticism that I have that would probably be a very big criticism if this was like a 2-hour movie. But they know exactly the right amount of time to get in, get out, and get on with your life.
Play to your strengths.
Exactly.
All right, moving along.
I'm interested to see what this writer or director or what else he does. He's done a lot of. He is primarily a writer on a number of movies like The Watch and The Internship.
I did look that up. And
I
think both those are hilarious movies.
I suspect that probably what he has done in most of these movies is he has probably been brought in to punch up the dialogue. If I was to make a guess as to what his role in these other movies are, that's what I
just based off of how strong it was in this one.
Yeah. Okay. All right, moving on to the next one.
It's the Flintstones.
It's the Flintstones.
Dabba-doo.
Yeah.
I watched it again last night with my family.
Yeah.
I think my kids may have gotten a little bored of it. I tried to introduce them to the cartoon a few years ago, and they like it, and then they kind of don't. I don't know. I'm a huge fan. I grew up with the Flintstones.
I grew up with the Flintstones as well. Love the cartoon.
I should say, huge fan of the TV show. The movie, like we were talking about earlier, is mainly for nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgia. If you're
There's a lot of throwbacks, though. Like a lot of references, pop culture references.
Yeah.
Like I sent you the GIF of that, the Christmas story lamp being tossed over in the.
Yeah, I mean there's all sorts of little things in there. This is a movie. If you're a kid from the '90s, you probably saw this movie. This was a hugely successful movie when it came out, and it was a huge budget film as well.
I don't think anybody could have been better cast as Fred Flintstone other than John Goodman.
That was the big takeaway that I had from watching it, and I have not seen it since the '90s. Is that John Goodman is incredibly well cast in this movie.
The other thing is the practical effects are
some of the
rampant,
actual,
and they're actually pretty dang good.
No, the dinosaurs themselves are all practical, except for with a few exceptions here and there.
Like Dino and stuff when he's little.
Yeah,
there's some spots where he is, and some spots where he's not.
But most of it, it's practical, and it looks good. I think they get away with a lot because they are trying to make it look cartoony. And but no, the production design is really good. I was looking at as I was watching it, I was like, oh wow, the lighting on this is sort of there's a lot of like hard lights around like the jaw lines. Mm-hmm. This is an interesting, like this sort of reminds me of like Dean Cundey, like the great '80s horror cinematographer who did one.
You think they went like that because they're cavemen?
Yeah, and it turns out that Dean Cundey is actually the DP in this movie. He actually is the DP of Jurassic Park, which I suspect is probably why he got the job, because it came out the year before.
Features a couple other famous people in there. Who's
Rosie O'Donnell?
Rosie O'Donnell. You don't see her in
Rebel.
anything anymore.
Yeah. And there was a time when she was like an actress, like in League of Their Own.
I forgot that she was in it, and I watched it. I was like, I completely forgot.
Yeah. And she's actually pretty good.
Halle Berry.
This is the movie. I have never forgotten that Halle Berry was in this movie, because this is the movie that actually sort of introduced me to her, and I've never forgotten her since. The less said, the better. Now, as I was watching it, I was struck by a few things.
The drug on. I felt like a drug on.
Yeah, it's way too long for what it is. This is basically a remake of a Don Knotts movie called How to Frame a Fig. Like almost exactly.
Don Knotts is incredible.
Yeah, Don Knotts is incredible. It's best not to analyze a movie about cavemen for a plot structure. There's an incredible plot hole in this, which is that Flintstone, there are evildoers within Slate Company. What's the name of the company they work for?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. That they need a patsy to set up, and so they issue these tests to the entirety of or an upper management test to their rock quarry workers. Fred Flintstone scores the highest, and so he is then promoted, and so that they can use him as their stooge, as their fall guy.
Does he score the highest?
He doesn't, but we won't get into that. And that becomes a really big plot point.
Why are you gonna pick the guy with the best
Why would
IQ?
you pick the guy with the best IQ if you just wanted to set him up?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, upwards and onwards.
So Flintstones, I think we talked about it earlier. We'd recommend based on nostalgia. Did your daughter like it?
She mostly did. She became irritated when Dina was not around. Yeah. And truthfully, I was too. So I would like to see more Dina.
All right, another movie we're going to recommend or talk about at least. Two guys probably not figure out we pick out this movie, but Little Women.
Let's get in touch with our Little Women. No, let's get.
That sounded really creepy.
No. All right, let's get in touch with our feminine side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little Women, 1994.
Little Women, 1994.
And when I first saw that Little Women was coming out on Netflix, I was like, oh, I grew up with this movie. My mom loved it, and I thought it was pretty decent. I liked the characters. And I saw, it's 1994 version. I'd only seen this one once or twice.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the previous iterations.
Yeah.
And I think you grew up with this one?
I didn't quite grow up with this one. This is one of those shocking moments of overlap. The version that I grew up with most is also the same one that you did, which is the 1948 MGM adaptation, which is a remake of the previous 1939 one, almost a scene-for-scene remake.
And each version of this movie that's come out is.
This is one of those it's kind of an unkillable story. The novel itself by Louis May Alcott is actually really well, and I think I've seen just about, because of my family, I've seen most of the iterations. This one is actually one of the very best, I would say, though.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually liked it better than the one that I grew up with.
No, it's a little bit more well developed. There's moments in this that are really heartfelt, that are really sad. It does a really good job of kind of doing what that relationship is between sisters, and conveying that realistically. But yeah, so that would be an absolute recommendation for Little Women from me.
All right, me too.
Absolutely.
All right, we're running out of time, so let's wrap it up. Let Me In. You want to touch on that real quick?
Let Me In. This is a remake of it's another adaptation of a Swedish novel.
Let the Right One In.
Let the Right One In, and there's also a very popular Swedish version of this movie. This one follows that story very closely. As far as English language remakes go, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I loved it.
Have you seen the Swedish one?
I have.
Okay,
I saw the Swedish one first, and then I saw this one.
Okay, I saw the Swedish one first as well, and I feel like that sort of peppered my. I feel like I would have liked this movie a lot more if I had not seen that one first. It is a very good movie, though. Bit of trivia note: this is actually released under the Hammer horror imprint, and Hammer is popular as a film studio in the 60s, and they primarily launched the careers of Peter Cushing, but also somebody who more people know, Christopher Lee. Anyway, they had been defunct for about 30 years. They launched themselves again with A Woman in Black and Let Me In.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Chloe Grace Moretz. Good. Yeah, it's a solid horror film.
Yeah, go see
Very character-based. It's something that you probably would not expect how character-based this is.
Moving on, Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful. This is probably the most controversial Best Picture winner of the 90s, because the premise is that a Jewish family in the 40s in Italy is rounded up into a Nazi concentration camp. And the father tries to hide his son from the reality of the Holocaust by acting as though it is an elaborate game.
It's Yeah, people did get pretty upset over that. But I think in the beginning of the movie, he uses his humor and his wit to win over his wife.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he uses that to help out his son to get through that.
Yeah.
So I think it's paired nicely. There's kind of like a part A, it's like two sides to the movie. And I think that's why
Yeah, it is tricky, but I would say this. This is the most charming film about the Holocaust ever made.
definitely.
Absolutely. And it's still a recommendation. It's popular to hate on this movie. But he walked the tightrope, and I think in large part he succeeds on it. All right, so I think that basically wraps it up.
It wraps it up. That's it for this episode.
Iteration. That is Netflix, but Netflix, what would you call it? The movie review portion.
Movie review portion
of this week's episode.
Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Peace.